thank you guys for coming. Apologies for the technical difficulties. This is a big day for me. I was a bit stressed, to be honest, about this. I don't get stressed often, but because it's a very serious topic, and we want to keep it simple and to extract all the knowledge from these two people, me and Ibrahim. We are going to ask a lot of questions. So we are going to introduce ourselves. I will start. I'm Phidias. I'm a member of the European Parliament, funny enough. And this event is kind of, in a way, sponsored from the European Union. As a member of the European Parliament, you have a budget to make stuff in your country. And this is one event that it's our first event, and we're going to keep doing these kinds of events. And it has a very interesting theme, but we're going to get into it later. Now, Ibrahim.
Hello, hi. My name is Ibrahim. I'm not a member of the European Parliament. I'm just a content creator in Northern Cyprus, and I think I have a big influence on especially young Turkish Cypriot people and Turkish people. And he invited me here to ask questions about the Cyprus subject, which I think I know some points because I studied, interesting enough, international relations and economics in university. So hopefully I can get involved and ask a few questions to you guys. And yeah, so Phidias invited me here, and I'm very happy to be here. It's going to be a great event. I can see that. Hopefully it's not going to be boring. We will try to make fun as it possible. So thank you very much.
So it's very important for you guys to see, like we are just 24, I'm 24, you are 27, right?
Yeah,
27.
Yeah.
And we are just young people trying to understand what has happened with the Cyprus problem for so many years. So these are the two negotiators that they've been negotiating for many years. So we want to, as young people that we didn't experience this heavy problem so much, we want to understand. So we're going to give the mic to the negotiators to introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Özdil Nami. I served as the negotiator. I served as the negotiator of the Turkish Cypriot side under two leaders, Excellency Mehmet Ali Talat and Akıncı, Mustafa Akıncı. And yeah, that's my claim to fame, I suppose. Yes.
I am Andrea Margogiannis. I was the negotiator for the Greek Cypriot community between 2013 and 2022. But I was involved in talks and in the Cyprus problem in general since the late 80s. So I'm much older than Still and 3 times older than but yes, so I'm very happy to be here. You know, me and Still, I think I can speak for him as well. We consider the time we spend together negotiating as the best time, and the time that the Cyprus problem came closer than ever to solution.
Which is Grand Montana, right?
It started 2015 and it went up to Grand Montana.
We're going to take back kind of the history, but a bit more fun question. How good friends are you guys?
We are very good friends. Our families know each other. He knows my son, I know his son and daughter, and we keep in touch, and whenever we can, we come together and socialize. Yes.
Okay, so you drank a lot of beers together? Why?
And Zibani.
Mary is his wife, she's here with us, last year. She's, we're fun.
Okay, so I will allow Ibrahim to ask the first question.
Oh my God, why am I asking the first question, right? Actually, no, you already asked my first question because before getting into details about the boring subject, right? I was always wondering because there was no solution on the table. There were about to be a solution on the table, but it didn't work. And aftermath of it, right? So it was going to be my question actually. Does it affect your relationship with each other or your political career after this, you know, this event? Like, is it affected you in a bad way or in a good way after that?
I'm not sure if I understood your question.
They understood my question. Is it clear?
Although
I will make a lot of fun of him, guys. We're friends.
yes, I mean, as you can imagine, as Andreas said, we worked as a team, day and night. We became very close, and the end result was, you know, our common effort, and our aspiration was to cross the finishing line. When that didn't happen, of course, this was quite traumatic on all of us. You know, we got emotional. We were, you know, trying to console each other. After the event, our friendship was not affected at all, because what happened that night was beyond his control or my control. We did our best, but due to other factors, we couldn't finalize it. So our friendship didn't happen. Career-wise, I can speak only for myself. It did have a huge impact on me. I decided that I needed some time away from the Cyprus problem. I mean, I devoted almost 25 years. Not pressure, but internally it affects you. You say, I have done my best, I have exhausted all my efforts, so I need to really distance myself a little bit to think, what more can I do, under what capacity? So I decided there and then that I was going to leave formal politics. I decided not to run again and not to continue to be a negotiator, and just to distance myself, and actually to be more with the people,
Right.
and to participate more with events like this, talk to people directly instead of being in our offices and trying to deal with it directly. And maybe that could, I decided, show me the light on what we are doing wrong.
Right. Okay.
You know, for me, it's a bit different in the sense that already in 2004.
Mr. Margorogiannis, want you a bit louder.
Louder?
For the people in the back.
Δεν άκουσα τι είπες.
They are saying louder.
Και εσείς πιο δυνατά, μα I was saying that for me it's a bit different because you know, I was also involved in the past, and I still remember in 2004 when we were in Birkenstock, we were talking with Mehmet Ali Talat, and Mehmet Ali Talat was saying, you know, I mean really business because, this is an expression he used at the time, I want to eat grapes. And grapes are mainly in the Limassol area. Right. So he was meaning reunification of the country. So for us, eventually the difficulty is that we did not manage to eat grapes. We are living the myth of Tantalus. We are approaching the grapes like in Greek mythology, and when you are ready to touch them, they move away. And this was, you know, the torture Tantalus was condemned to. So we are trying our best, and on the two main occasions, I have to tell you, 2004 in Birkenstock with the Annan plan, and 2017 in Crans Montana, we came close, but we did not manage. And for me, the conclusion was that I wanted it to be the end of the road, but it was not. So we had to continue. And we will continue. This was the way I was thinking until we manage. So a lot of determination. I don't know how optimistic or pessimistic I am. I would just say determined. And we will see. And I have to tell you, in order to avoid any misunderstandings, that in 2004, I was not in favor of the Annan Plan, okay? So in order to have an idea, and just one more thing, Phidias, we have here two fantastic ladies that were with us in Crans Montana, Ipek and Solveig. Yeah. We have somebody else?
Okay, interesting.
So they can tell you.
So we're going to get into what was the problems later that we didn't manage to have a solution, why you were against the Annan Plan, because it's very interesting. But first of all, for the people, it's interesting to understand kind of how the fuck you are negotiating together. Like you sit on a table and you say, I want this, I want this. You have teams. Talk to us about the technicalities of the
it was like the environment of the negotiations, you mean?
Yeah, the environment.
It's always, I'm wondering, how was it? Because everyone was there, from Turkey, from Cyprus, everyone was there. How was the environment? Is it stressful, or it was just, like this? How was it? Always wondering it.
Multi-level, but still.
First of all, you have to recognize that nothing starts from scratch.
Right.
There's a huge body of work that we inherited from the negotiators before us. So what you do is you try to make it better, and you try to list all your agreements, but also your disagreements. And we were lucky enough to have excellent teams. As I said, one of my team members is over there. But there was, maybe we were the negotiators, but for every subject, we had very good qualified people assisting us.
Right.
So when you have a big problem, usually what you do, you divide it into its smaller parts to solve it easier. So we divided the Cyprus issue under 6 main headings. For each heading, we put together...
what are the 6?
Well, governance and power sharing, property, European Union issues, economy, territory, security and guarantees. So these were like the 6 main categories. For each category, we had experts assisting us. And so basically what we did, we said, okay, let's prepare papers. This was one of the earlier decisions we took. Instead of having a Greek Cypriot paper and a Turkish Cypriot paper, we said, let's have a common paper. On that common paper, we will write Turkish views on one particular problem, and then Greek Cypriot views, Turkish views in red, Greek Cypriot views in blue. And the idea was to turn everything into black.
Right.
Then throughout the process, the papers became even more colorful. Greens started to appear. Then there were some yellow highlights and everything.
How many people are involved in this process that you're describing?
Well, for each team, I would say at least 5 to 6 experts were involved. So like team members were around 30 to 40 people, I suppose. But then we also had, I must mention, technical committees, which was totally another area. and they were dealing with confidence building measures to create a positive atmosphere, helping people on their day-to-day
so 50 people from one side and 50 people from the other side.
But
not sitting together.
Not sitting together, agreeing them.
Different
configurations.
But together they were not sitting together. These 6 topics, they were not sitting
not
together.
At the
each
same
topic,
time.
not at the same time.
So Andreas and myself, we would chair these meetings. So we would say, today we are going to meet with the governance and power sharing team. Okay, so that would be. And then we would decide, okay, we have done enough. Tomorrow we will talk about another chapter. So we would invite the technical
competent people.
Yes.
But we were having also, sorry to interrupt you still.
No,
we were having also those people meeting amongst themselves. We had a working group on the economy. These people that were having their own meetings, coordinated by the UN.
survey, what were you coordinating?
I'm a committee
You see?
EU preparation.
You see, there were people from the UN coordinating these working groups on various issues. And then they were coming to us with the result of their work, and we were trying to insert, if you like, or incorporate the result of their work into our work, and eventually in the common paper that we were having. And the ambition was always, you know, to, as I was saying already at the time, you know, we were following the song by Amy Winehouse, Go Back to Black. How do you turn things into black?
We also had EU experts, where appropriate, who would, you know, be within the meeting room, and when we needed to consult them whether what we were doing could be accommodated by the European Union, whether it was in line with the EU acquis, so they would give us their recommendations on how we can, you know, enhance these convergences.
Okay, but I'm curious to understand. So, as I understand, you started negotiating. It's been a long time that we are negotiating this, and we are building kind of a house, in a way. So I understood that this house is kind of built in a way. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Like 95%, I think we both agree. So we have this house. So it's kind of impossible to throw this house and start another house now. So we are kind of, in a way, forced to work on this house now. And I don't know if you like my metaphor that I used. I want to comment.
But you know, you are right. But at the same time, we need to bear in mind some fundamental things. Building from the situation as emerged after '74 was not easy. The first time we had, you know, a kind of fundamental agreement was in '77 with the 4 points between Makarios and Denktash, which for the first time were going in the direction of a bicommunal federation. Then we had in '79 the agreement between Kyprianou and Denktash about the 10 points, again building on the same. And then it went on and on with Cuellar points, with the Boutros-Ghali plan in the set of ideas in the 90s, etc. Progressively, we were building not only through negotiations, but also through the involvement of the United Nations, and you had a whole series of resolutions, both by the Security Council and the General Assembly, and you had also some other elements that were built based on, for instance, it's more recent, but there was a decision of the European Court of Human Rights. You cannot ignore it. So there are a lot of things that shaped, if you like, the acquis. You are a member of European Parliament. Now you know what acquis means. So
actually, no.
You know, Phidias, this is the #1 term in the European Union. Acquis. What you have achieved, the acquis. So it's a French word, but in European Parliament you're going to hear it a lot. This is the idea. You have what you have achieved, and then, of course, you know, the late Raouf Denktash was saying in the 90s that, you know, 95% of the problem is solved. Of course, the problem is what is the remaining, you know, the foundations and then the finish. So it does not mean much to say 95% is solved. So, and then we had, for the first time in 2004, a comprehensive plan, the Annan plan, which failed. And then we started again in 2006 with the 8th of July agreement under the auspices of the Under-Secretary General of the UN, Ibrahim Kambari. And then again in earnest after the election of President Christofias in 2008. Then the effort that led to Crans-Montana started in 2013 with the joint declaration of February 2017, and really took its strength after the election of Mustafa Akinci in 2015, who appointed Ostil Nami as his negotiator, and this was the golden era of the negotiation between 2015 and 2017, where we managed to build on all these acquis, both UN resolutions and the rest, and elements of the Annan Plan, and also all the convergences achieved between Christofias and Talat, and there were many. So, and then we built on this, and we managed to come by 2017 as closer than ever to a settlement.
Yes. And it's because of that that we managed to go to Crans-Montana. Because if the two Cypriot sides did not manage to converge to a very large extent, the guarantor powers would not accept to sit with us around the same table to make the last effort and also to start talking about.
Can you elaborate a bit more on this? What do you mean?
Well, the guarantor powers are interested in their...
And what's their role?
They are, in 1960, as you know, when Republic of Cyprus was created, there were three main agreements: Treaty of Establishment, Treaty of Guarantee, and Treaty of Alliance. So Greece and Turkey and UK are part of Treaty of Guarantee. What does this mean? They said, okay, Republic of Cyprus is established, but if its constitutional order collapses and there are troubles, these guarantor powers have a right to intervene and to re-establish the constitutional order. Then there is another treaty, Treaty of Alliance,
which is Turkey and Greece and UK?
No, Treaty of Guarantee is Turkey, Greece, UK. Treaty of Alliance is to defend Cyprus against outside threats. And treaty that's between Cyprus, Turkey, and Greece. That's why Turkey and Greece was given the right to keep troops on the island, not to interfere in our internal things, but to protect us from outside threats. So that's why Turkey and Greece and UK are involved. But you cannot invite them to talks about how you are going to share power, or how are you going to design your economic structure, or how we will settle the property issue. They are not interested in those. So they said from the outset that, listen, call us when all that is almost done, and the time has come to start talking about the Treaty of Guarantee and Treaty of Alliance. So because of that, before going to Crans-Montana, we made a huge effort, and we these internal aspects of the Cyprus issue was brought almost to conclusion. But there were some elements remaining under every chapter. Why? Because unless you know what will happen on Treaty of Guarantee or security-related issues, you don't want to finalize other issues like property or governance. So we came to the realization that the way to cross the finishing line would be to finalize everything together as a package, as a give and take across chapters. And we told guarantors we are ready to do this, so let's go to Crans-Montana, and we did.
So to rephrase what you said, there is some remaining topics that they need to be negotiated that you don't agree. So you need to bring them all to the table and say, I give you this, you give me this, I give you
exactly.
If you finally take.
But we knew before going to Crans-Montana that these were all bridgeable. Although there was not 100% agreement, we could see where the agreement would be, but we needed to talk about everything, including security and guarantees, to be able to finalize it.
But you know, it's very important. We were saying earlier that it was multi-level. You know, you had the technical committees dealing with daily life in order to create the conditions that will be, leading to the settlement. You had the working groups working, and then you had the negotiations taking place at the level of negotiators, Ostil and myself, with our teams, with the assistance of our experts, etc. Then you had another level, which was the level of the leaders. The leaders were meeting regularly, and they were providing guidance, because whatever we were doing ourselves was always at referendum. You need the approval of the leader. And they were also solving some of the problems that were remaining.
So it was like your bosses?
Of course.
So you listen to them, whatever they said,
discuss with them, but eventually the final decision is with the leader, of course. And then, as Ostil was saying, the other level was when we were able to have this conference on Cyprus with the participation of the guarantor powers and of course the United Nations. This conference on Cyprus, which gathered first in Geneva in January 2017 and then in Crans-Montana end of June and beginning of July, was having what we call two tables. One table where we were continuing to discuss the internal aspects, and the other table, and there it was only the two communities and the UN. And the other table, we were discussing security and guarantees, and there you had the guarantor powers. But the guarantor powers wouldn't interfere with the discussions on the internal aspects. So this is why it was multi-level, but with always absolute respect for the fact that there was Cypriot ownership. Right. And the United Nations were exercising a mission of good offices, which means again that it was free negotiation between the two parties.
Right, I didn't know that. I didn't know that the guarantor powers, they never intervene. Is it correct?
Yes.
So they never intervene.
No.
So they were expecting for us, for the people of the Cyprus, right? Agree with each other, and they were there just to listen. And
no,
they were not even there to listen.
They were not there.
On Crans-Montana.
In Crans-Montana, they were part of the negotiation for security and guarantees.
But did they intervene on the Crans-Montana?
Of course, but for security and guarantees.
For security guarantees only.
So there was also, it matured slowly, because there was already at the time of Mr. Talat, the Turkish Cypriot side was saying, we need to prioritize, the issues of governance, the issues of property, European Union, etc., economy, and only if we advance sufficiently, we can put on the table the issue of territory and then security and guarantees. The success of this negotiation we are talking about was that we managed in 2016 to reach the point where we discussed territory. This was the main subject of discussion in Mont Pelerin. So we discussed territory, and after that, the next step was to discuss also security and guarantees. And this is how we managed to go to Geneva in January 2017 and have a conference. First we had a discussion on the internal aspect, and then we had a conference on security and guarantees with the participation of the guarantor powers.
Okay, so you understand, so you say that 6 subjects was on the table, right? And the territory was the done deal, or the other ones? Which one was the more proceed one?
Nothing was 100%.
Everything is similar, but which one was the most proceed one that they actually liked it and moved forward on the negotiations?
In all 5 chapters, other than security and guarantees, I would say our convergence was like 98, 99%. In every subject, we had some remaining issues, including territory. The difference was down to 1%.
Wow.
So that's how we managed to, as I said, invite the guarantor powers, saying that, okay, almost all subjects are ready to be finished, but only the security and guarantees needs more maturing, more convergence, and then we'll push them over the finishing line altogether.
Right.
And so that's why we say we were very close. And after Crown Montana, the Secretary General said in his report that the solution was on the table. What was lacking to cross the finishing line was political will, basically. So the content is more or less there. There are still items to be discussed, but relative to the previous periods, it's almost there.
Right.
You need to understand that if you take the situation in Crown Montana and you have the Secretary General suggesting what is very well known by now, the 6 points of the Secretary General. Those 6 points were referring to the most fundamental issues that needed to be breached. Okay. One fundamental issue was governance. You shouldn't forget that most of the negotiating sessions all over the years were about governance and power sharing. By the time we were in Crown Montana, we were almost there. We can expand later. There were a couple of remaining issues, but really, as Hostil was saying, breachable.
What did you agree? That's what we want to know.
Wait, we are going to get to this, don't worry. This is something. By the way, I was going to ask, can everyone hear, guys? Everything is
Guys,
good?
listen. For me, it's fine to interrupt, so don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
we like interruption, but also we have a microphone.
At the end,
We need to slowly, guys. We need to cook the meat first, and then we...
So I mentioned governance. But you know, very honestly, there is no real secret. Okay, so you can ask everything, we can answer, there is no secret. On territory, as Hostil was saying, you know, we discussed it in Montpellier. In Geneva in January, we even exchanged maps for the first time ever. And the difference was we have proposed 28.2, the Turkish Cypriots proposed 29.2%. We are talking about the territory that will be under Turkish Cypriot administration.
Before we get into the details of this stuff, we have, you said 6 topics. It's because of the intervention of of our friend, what's your name? That he's very angry with us that we don't get into that. I'm joking. It's a good time. We will talk later also why it was not an agreement, what was the fight, who left the table and all this stuff. But let's start. Okay, there is 6 points.
Finish the 6 points.
How this solution look like the next day? If it happens, what is the agreement?
Yes,
I want you both to start painting us the picture of what's the solution you build.
Let's have the 6 points first. So territory, we were 1 point of difference, and we all knew that eventually we would end up midway, which would be 28.7, very close to what was.
But I don't understand. You need to explain what this is. What is the solution on territory?
This we will see later.
My thing as a podcaster, I need to simplify everything.
Yeah, wait. So then on EU, the Secretary General made a proposal which was eventually acceptable on how to deal with Turkish citizens in Cyprus after the entry into force of the settlement. Then there was the property issue. There again, there was a proposal by the Secretary General that would help in moving forward. Property is a very complicated issue, okay? Don't think that it's very simple. But we knew more or less the way forward from what the Secretary General said and from some decisions of the European Court of Human Rights. And then there were the question of guarantees, where again there was a proposal of the Secretary General, and the question of the troops, which was to remain partially open to be dealt at a later stage with the presence of the prime ministers of the guarantor powers. So, and just a word, Phidias, how a solution would look like. It would look like a normal state with a federal state with two constituent federated entities running their internal own business and working within the framework of the European Union and having a double dynamic. Most of the issues in the European Union are dealt with in an upper level. They go up to the European Union. So by definition, it's not controversial internally. And then many of the issues go down close to the citizen through the principle of subsidiarity, and there again, it's fine. The most important thing, and this was a discussion we were having, was to guarantee freedom of movement, freedom of establishment on the whole island, and the right to have property, and then the four freedoms of the European Union, which is free movement of persons, of capital, of, you know, goods and...
What about the political accountability? Phidias, so that we don't have a European Union. And I see the Annan plan. It's the same as the European Union. What did you agree?
No. Let's let
What do you mean political accountability?
Those that take the executive decisions, those who decide, the president, the government, the von der Leyen, must be elected from the people and be politically accountable. Otherwise, it's not a democracy. And I see the Annan plan.
We're not talking about the Annan plan. No, we're not talking about the Annan plan now. We're talking about Kran Mutana. We're talking about, you know, you are having a state, a federal state, and you have all the mechanism of the executive. You have the division between the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, and each power exercises fully its powers.
Presidential.
Guys, okay, I need to talk, okay? We're not going to do this. I need to give the speech. Or still continue explaining what you want, because I love you, it's not a problem, but it's not a good conversation between you and him. Later you can ask more questions.
Dear friends, in order to understand what was agreed, you need to read all the convergences. And I, for myself, on my behalf, I have called for this to publish, to make it transparent, all the convergences. I think this should be made public information. Everybody should be able to read.
So for now, nobody knows what you negotiated in Crans-Montana.
These are confidential records. Like Andreas said, many people have an idea, more or less, but many people also don't. So
Why was it necessary to keep it? Why did they consider it necessary to keep it confidential? Because
it was confidential.
Why they left it confidential? Guys, okay, because also we are doing a live stream. It's important for the people in the audience to hear the questions, and now they can't. So we are going to give you microphones later. We'll have microphones, and we're going to do a Q&A together. I know you love us and you want to intervene so much, but let's have a small conversation here about the broad picture, and we will ask the questions. That's why we're here, and slowly we can fill you in with the mic as well for the people watching, because there is more people watching online than the people are here. So.
Okay. So as I said, in order to answer this question, what was agreed, you need to read all the convergences and see yourself, which I am a supporter of. Second, there were two principles at the negotiations. One, nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. And the other one is confidentiality. Why were these necessary? Because without this, you cannot make progress. You cannot negotiate everything simultaneously. You have to open your hand on one particular topic, expecting that on another topic you will get something in return. But if everything is broadcasted live every day, there are many people who can attack one negotiator or the other. Why did you give this concession? Why didn't you get something in return? Whereas you would get something in return maybe a few days later. So in order to protect the process, you had to abide by these principles. Now, there are more federations in the world than unitary states. Okay? So we have to digest this idea of living in a federal government. We go to United Kingdom, which is, you know, the name suggests, it's a united kingdom of different kingdoms. You go to Belgium, a federation. You go to Germany, a federation. You go to United States, a federation. Okay? So federations do work, and they can produce very good results. There are unitary states all around the world, which at the outset may seem a simpler solution, but which are total failures. You look at the Middle East. They were not federations. They were unitary states, and they all collapsed. They couldn't function. So we should not be afraid of living in a federal state. Belgium sometimes runs without a government for months, and still everything functions properly. So we were designing a federal settlement, federal Cyprus, which could also function properly within the European Union umbrella. That's why we had EU experts assisting us to make sure that we would not have a problem the day after a solution, functioning under the European Union, taking decisions under the European Union, or speaking with one voice within the European Union. And as an insurance, we also devised deadlock resolving mechanisms. What happens if we cannot agree? What kind of mechanisms will be triggered to make sure that the state continues to function? So, and we had many experts, not only from here or Europe, but also international, from Canada, from United States, telling us how they go about doing. We sent delegations to Germany, to Belgium, to Switzerland, to study with them what they are doing, so that we can get inspiration from their experiences and modify it, tailor it to the Cypriot situation. So a lot of work went, and I personally was confident that whatever we created as out of this Cypriot on Cypriot process would be able to function properly. And mind you, I want to say two things. To the best of my knowledge, there has not been any other country in the world established after so much work creating its laws, constitution, regulation, institutions, decision-making things. No, people just establish a country, and as they go along, they build and they fix. And by the way, no country has stayed the same as the day it was established. Depending on the needs, depending on what works and what doesn't work, you modify, you change. So don't expect, you know, that we will find a solution and it will be perfect, and for 100 years we won't have any problems and nothing will change. No, every country has problems, question marks. That's why we have courts and everything that constantly evolve everything, so that things become more adaptable to the new realities. So that's what we as Cypriots should be ready for.
Okay. Well, it's a shame after all of this, for example, this delegation. I didn't know that it's a huge delegation sent to each other, but should I ask the question already, or are you going to ask the question again? Ask. After all of this, what made you to leave the table?
We didn't leave the table.
Okay, now we're getting into the fine stuff.
It's very obvious.
By the way, guys, I also in the room.
You know, sorry.
Wait a minute. Also in the room, we sense there is tension. This problem, there is a lot of tension in between us. It's been 50 years. There is a lot of all this stuff, but we need to fight the tension with love and talk. So. This is I will ask the question better. I got confused. I talked with Ozdil and he told me the problem why the Grand Montana Fair is Anastasiadis. And I talked with Mavroyannis and he told me, no, that's not the case. It's not Anastasiadis. So fight between each other.
No, but you know, it's not a fight. But I mean, let's be honest. Who amongst you, most of you followed on television, Anastasiadis was not on the picture when Guterres announced the end? How did he leave? Why do we say that he left? Why? This is a myth, okay? This is just a myth. You can say that you don't agree with what you can say whatever you like, but you cannot say that he left. And you know, I was candidate at the presidential elections recently, and I lost the election because of Anastasiadis. So I have every reason not to be accommodating with him. But it's not true that he left the table. The
but
truth.
Not physically, not physically, mentally.
No,
why?
Why? Let us deal.
But let me tell you, if he were to leave, or even mentally, the Secretary General would have said so. There is nothing about this. And we all know that the end of Grand Montana was a discussion concerning security and guarantees, where Mr. Çavuşoğlu was not able to accept what the Secretary General proposed, which was the end of the guarantees. Okay, he said he made a movement, okay? It's not that he didn't make a movement. He made a movement accepting for the first time ever to discuss it. The first time ever. You know, if you go back to the Annan plan, there was nothing about security and guarantees. The system was going on. In Grand Montana, for the first time, Turkey accepted to discuss the issue. This was a step. Was it sufficient? No, because when the Secretary General said immediate abolition of guarantees, Çavuşoğlu said, no, I can accept a review, but not a decision now about the abolition. Okay, this was the main reason, and then he added in the 6 points of the Secretary General. The Secretary General was saying about the troops, I mentioned it before, that we should go down to the numbers of the Treaty of Alliance, which would mean 650 Turkish troops on the island. And this was not very far from a proposal, again constructive. Mr. Çavuşoğlu made a week earlier that the numbers will go dramatically down, not necessarily to this figure, okay? But during dinner, Mr. Çavuşoğlu said, we'll go down, not to 650, but down. He was having in mind, I don't know exactly, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, but dramatically down. But he added, these remaining troops have to stay forever. And this was not what the Secretary General suggested, okay? We need to be, you know, very serious about this. Can somebody tell me that Çavuşoğlu accepted the point by the Secretary General and Anastasiadis left? No!
Did he accept the two-state solution suggestion by Mr. Anastasiadis?
It was my question, yeah.
Who?
Mr. Çavuşoğlu, did he accept it when they spoke privately?
I was not there, but as far as I know, you know, the information I had from Anastasiadis after the meeting, after they met. Mr. Çavuşoğlu was telling Mr. Anastasiadis that, you know, I cannot go as far as you want me on security and guarantees, and I need a number of things. And it is in this framework that I tell you, I was not there. This is what Anastasiadis told me. It is in this framework that Anastasiadis raised the issue of the two states, alluding, what if we were to go in the two states solution? Would you accept the withdrawal of troops and the abolition of guarantees? This is what he said to me was the discussion. But I mean, I'm talking.
Let's hear us.
Yeah, you know, we have a still now.
All right. I mean, of course, it's impossible for us to agree on everything with my dear friend Andreas. So the way I experience what happened in Crown Montana is a bit different. As I already said, we managed to converge a lot. And the time has come to finish everything by a give and take across chapters. Okay? So I will give you this on governance, and you give me this on territory. I will give you this on property. You give me this on security and guarantees. All right?
Interdependent negotiation.
Interdependent negotiation. That was actually the fact that we were going to do this in this way was agreed even before we went to Switzerland. A package deal, a give and take across chapters. So when we went there, actually even before going there, we came across some road accidents. One of them was regarding this territorial adjustment. One of the conditions of Anastasiadis agreeing to go to conference was diminishing our difference to 1%. And we thought if we agree to this, then he would automatically agree to go to a conference.
Diminishing what?
Diminishing the difference between territorial aspect to 1%.
The respective proposals to have just 1%
difference. Okay. When Akıncı accepted this, and he raised his hand to shake Mr. Anastasiadis. Anastasiadis said, sorry, I have to go back to Cyprus and consult my national council. That was the first big bombshell. Okay? That's when we first started getting very suspicious whether we do have a counterpart who can really take the final decision. And then in Crown Montana, what happened was this. It is true that he didn't leave and we were looking for Anastasiadis. No, it didn't happen like that. But what happened, what was true was Turkish side, Turkish Cypriot leader and Turkey. We were ready to stay as long as was required. And we did ask for an extension. Okay? And unfortunately, this didn't happen. Now, you can blame the Secretary General, but I blame Anastasiadis. I will not hide behind my finger here. A true Cypriot leader would never leave the table, would never accept a failure there. A true Cypriot leader should have said, listen, I can feel that we are touching a solution. There are still clarifications I need. Turkey has, for the first time, shown some flexibility on security and guarantees. I am not satisfied, okay? I want to remain and talk more. And I want to invite more experts to discuss more. I am not leaving Crown Montana until we put the finishing dot and sign an agreement. A leader, a true leader, would have done that. Instead, he said, when Guterres prepared these 6 points, and we were asking him, are you going to accept rotating presidency? Are you going to accept equal treatment to Turkish nationals after the settlement? He was saying, listen, I don't want to talk about those. I want to know what Turkey will deliver on security and guarantees. And Turkey said, listen, we already accepted that, and by the way, Secretary General did not call for a total abolition of guarantees. He said the 1960 system of guarantees with the right of intervention is not sustainable, A new system of guarantees involving the guarantor powers that gives a feeling of security to both sides must be created. And this we accepted. We said, okay, we are ready to work for this, provided, and we will deliver more on security and guarantees, provided our counterpart delivers more on the remaining other issues. And Secretary General said to Anastasiadis, dear Nikos, I know Turkey can deliver more on security and guarantees, but they need to hear what more you can deliver on the other issues. Anastasiadis said, no, I don't want Turkey to tell you what they can do. I want them to tell it to me. And Çavuşoğlu said, but whatever we tell you gets leaked to the press, and we find ourselves in a mess. Okay, so what I propose is this. Let's give our final offers to the Secretary General. We will do it ourselves. You do it but on all 6, and not only one, on all 6. And Secretary General can assist us to bridge the gap and finalize the package deal. Okay? So when we say Anastasiadis left, what we mean is he refused to engage in this. Okay? He said, no, I already made too many concessions on the other things. On security and guarantees, I need to hear more first, and I'm not hearing it. And this is unfair. And Secretary General said, okay, this is not going anywhere, and that's why I close the conference.
But sorry, I have to say something important here. You know, it's not true. The Greek Cypriot side was the only side, the only participant amongst the 5 participants which submitted in writing its positions on all 6 points the last day, accepting all 6 points of the Secretary General. It's a document that exists. So you cannot say that the Greek Cypriot side did not engage. It was the only one to engage and the only one to accept all 6 points suggested.
This is,
I can. We have the document.
We also,
you have it.
We also accepted. We also. I never. Listen. I never. Andreas.
Okay.
We also accepted.
Have you given in writing your positions?
Listen.
No.
We had.
That Turkey did Turkey give in writing its positions? No. So how can you say that the Greek Cypriots did not engage with the 6 points when they are the only ones?
No. I didn't say you didn't engage, Andreas. I said Secretary General in the final dinner tried to assist us. Listen, what happened was Secretary General had separate meetings. He said these are the 6 main outstanding issues. And he said if you accept, because he was also describing how these 6 points should be resolved, more or less, indicating, okay? And he said, if you accept this, then I will try to make one final effort. And we had our own internal meeting. We went through these 6 points. We decided that we will agree to this. And for the first time in the history of Cyprus negotiation, we decided to tell the Secretary General that we accept a formulation whereby it says right of intervention is not sustainable. From our point of view, this was a historic opening, indicating that we mean business and we are here to finish. Okay, so we had a meeting with Secretary General, and we told him we are now going to tell you our answer to your result. But we want one assurance from you. We said, is today going to be the make or break day for the Cyprus problem? Because we are going to say something very important, and we don't want this concession to be pocketed and our counterpart to go and say, I will think about it again. And he said, yes, today will be the day, make or break session. And we said, yes. Oh, then we confirmed that we accept your package. And we are ready to finalize these 6 main issues in accordance with your package. And he went and had his meeting with the Greek Cypriot side. And he organized this dinner to talk about the 6 issues and how we can cross. But during the dinner, and I had never seen Mr. Anastasiadis in such a tense, stress mood throughout our negotiation. He was very tense, very nervous. He kept on saying, I want the final say of Turkish side on security and guarantees. We kept saying, we are here to finalize the package, not only one issue. Let's find a modality. No. You know, insisting on getting 0 troops, 0 guarantees, deadline, sunset, all these things. Turkish side we kept saying to him, listen, the end result, we don't know. We will negotiate. But you cannot expect us to open our hand fully on security and guarantees without telling us how the others will be finalized. Çavuşoğlu had another meeting in Germany, a very important international meeting. He said, I am ready to cancel that one and stay here for the sake of finalizing a solution. And he also said, Erdogan's plane is ready. The engines are warmed up. You know, if we tell him, he will come, because we had decided that the issue of troops, how many will remain, what kind of a schedule will be for the withdrawal, will be discussed only with the heads of state, with Turkey, Greece, and UK. Okay? But we couldn't go there. We couldn't go there. And Secretary General said, okay, this discussion is not going anywhere. Therefore, I am obliged to declare the closure of the conference. So, listen, what happened. The more important stuff is, you know, we can argue until morning whether who did it. But what I am saying is this. A leader, a Cypriot leader, who is passionate about reunification of his country would never leave Crans-Montana. Would never. Even if Çavuşoğlu left and others left, okay, he would say, I'm not leaving until I reunite my country. Okay? This didn't happen. And I am saying the opposite. The opposite. He was ready. He was already ready to leave. And for that, I will never forgive him. Never.
So, my friend, people need to listen online. People are listening us online. Because stay here and we are going to have questions. Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense. There is a lot of people.
For nothing. 1.5 hours for nothing.
Okay, you can leave. You are free to leave. Nobody's holding you. Nobody's holding you.
Give him the mic to say a word, but not the end of the word. Give him the mic.
Relax. It's interesting. We are here. This is the first time I'm hearing them having this conversation. It's very interesting. If you don't like it, it's okay. We don't want
he didn't say he doesn't like it. He's interested.
Okay. We will give him the mic like we are going to give to everyone. He doesn't have a right because he got angry suddenly. Who is angry doesn't have a right. Right, guys?
But you are angry. By the way, Fidyas, I should also say that when he was running for president, I tried to, support in any way I can. Why? Because I knew that when a difficult moment was again reached, like we did in Crans-Montana, Andreas Mavroyiannis would not lose the opportunity.
So
he would stay.
I will want him to comment on the final thing, and then we start another topic. But do you have any comments to this?
You know, I don't believe that the most important thing is the anecdotal recital of events. For me, the most fundamental thing is what happens when you reach a crucial point and what are the positions of the ones and the others. We cannot hide under the carpet the fact that there was remaining a very important difference. To say that the right of unilateral intervention is not sustainable is not the same as the abolition of the Treaty of Guarantees, which was our aim for the Greek Cypriots and which was the suggestion of the Secretary General. So this is the real problem. You can talk about atmospherics, you can talk about whatever you like. This was not breached. If this were to be breached, there was, I mean, we covered ground. I mentioned it before. Turkey has accepted to discuss this. It was a huge movement. Not enough. Not enough. We need to understand. I believe yes, because you know, once you accept the idea that you don't have the right of unilateral intervention in the internal affairs of a country, then you can discuss many other things. And we, in the proposal we have submitted in writing, we have even made suggestions on how do we deal with the remaining troops in a way that will not be, you know, a complete withdrawal, but it would be integration to a European operation in the Eastern Mediterranean, and how long they would stay would depend on the needs of the European Union. So you overcome the difficulties and the discussions. So, but we cannot hide under the carpet that this was a remaining important divergence. And I believe myself the only one where we were not able to come very, very close. All the others on territory, on property, on the treatment of EU nationals, of Turkish nationals, and on governance, we can say a word on governance later, we came very, very close, and it was really bridgeable. Just anecdotally to say, though I'm not in favor of anecdotal, 2 years later in Berlin, when we had the last meeting between Anastasiadis and Akinci, it was, governance was a done deal.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it's your time! We're going to give you mic. Like, it's one important thing that I want to give me the mic is with love. We do this with love. It's okay, we like fighting, it's interesting, but we can fight with respect. I think they talk with respect to each other. So, let's, no. So you stand, let's go.
Ladies first, ladies.
Okay, I will give him and then we go like this. So please stand up.
But wait. Tell us about the procedure. Are we going to answer every question directly, or we take a few?
No, directly. He asked the question. Maybe you ask it to anyone here in this panel, and we.
Okay, first of all, let me congratulate Phidias. Phidias, I was not one of your very good fans before you elected.
I'm not either.
But I would say that you're doing a good job now, my son. Honestly, my son is in your age, actually, and he's studying in... Sorry. Λέω ότι ήμουν fan του, δεν τον υποστήριξα. Sorry, I said I was not his fan and I never supported him at the elections, but he's doing a good job. Okay. Okay, just quickly, my son is his age.
Your question, the microphone is not for you guys to listen, it's for the audience online.
Okay, that's why I'm going to say. Okay, Phidias, listen. Phidias,
yes.
Okay, my son is in your age. I'm here. I was involved in politics, even in DC for a long time. And somebody will say, but why Savas is here now? But I'll tell you something. It's you that you're going to solve the problem. You, the youngsters. Okay, I'm going direct to the question, Mr. Namin. I will not go into politics or to ask anything. Just two things. What Mr. Mavroyiannis said, and I appreciate the last one. Are you willing as well now, with knowing what's happening with everything happening around us, with Syria, with Israel and everything, and we're discussing about NATO, that it can be the solution for the guarantees? And it's two questions. Number one is, do you think we can really accept these 6 last points that you had and you agreed, and it's on the table from the United Nations once we go back in January, February, into the new discussions, hopefully? And do you think that NATO solution as a guarantor, once we have a solution, of course, can be the real breakthrough for the solution of the Cyprus on a bizonal solution that we're discussing? Thank you.
Okay.
Well, the quick answer is regarding NATO, no.
Yes, you dropped the thing.
NATO does not address internal problems of its member states. NATO is, I mentioned, Treaty of Alliance to protect Cyprus against outside threats. So if we start talking about how in the new situation we will protect all of Cyprus, then maybe NATO could be considered instead of Treaty of Alliance, for example. The EU also has some mechanism. But that's to protect Cyprus against outside threats. Treaty of Guarantee was trying to answer what will happen if the internal constitutional order collapses.
So would you accept then what Mr. Mavroyiannis said, to take it off and then...
No. What we were willing to accept was like Secretary General said. Secretary General said this: a new system of guarantees that gives a feeling of security to both sides. That involves the guarantor powers, must be created. And we said yes to this. I personally, as Özdil Nami, I still say yes to that. And I agree with Andreas that when there is a will, there is a way. We can create a mechanism, a new mechanism. We don't have to stick to the mechanism of 1960 to protect the constitutional order of a federal Cyprus within the European Union. We are clever enough to create even better. What we agreed during the negotiations, we improved everything on a win-win basis. We even improved on the ANAM. There were many ambiguities. Now we don't have those things. So our mind is good enough to create better mechanism. It can be done. But do we have the political will? Akıncı was the only person who said, let's stay more. Nobody else did. Because he also believed that if we stayed more, we could have overcome those.
What about NATO? Do you think NATO?
I answered NATO. I don't think NATO is an answer for our security and guarantees discussion. It can be an answer to protect Cyprus against outside threats if what EU has to offer is not enough. It can be an idea which could be discussed, but it is not the remedy for the security and guarantees.
I'm curious to hear, on this question, what is the feeling, what is the vibe of the Turkish Cypriot community about the NATO, us getting into NATO and stuff? Do they like the idea? Do they hate the idea? Do they?
It depends on their ideological background. The left-wing people are usually more cold to the idea. The others are not. But we don't have a serious debate about, Turkish Cypriots are hungry for a solution. Okay? One way or another, the status quo must end. If what it takes is NATO membership, fine. They want a solution.
I need to add something on this.
Of course.
Because what the Secretary General suggested to replace what we have a system of guarantees under the 1960s was 3 elements. That the new system will have as a center the United Nations. It will be under the United Nations. The second element is that the new, in this new system, the current guarantor powers cannot oversee the implementation of their own obligations. You cannot implement and oversee at the same time. And the third element is that there cannot be a right of unilateral intervention. So this was the substance of the proposal of the Secretary General. And he submitted a paper, the only paper he ever submitted, a non-paper at the last dinner, where he was giving some ideas of how this could be built. Coming now to NATO, I think that Ostil fundamentally is right. NATO is about Article 5, which commits all members to consider any attack on any aggression on any member from outside means as an aggression to all of them. So it's not very relevant per se in our situation. Second, in order to join NATO, you need unanimity. Turkey is a member state which does not even recognize the Republic of Cyprus. How can you foresee Turkey, accepting Cyprus as a partner in NATO while they don't recognize him and while we have the Cyprus problem and before the solution? Now, having said all this, let me give you my own take. I don't like military alliances, which very often are unexcused in order to build military, industrial. We all know what lies behind all those things. I don't like it personally. It's a fact of life, however. So for me, if you like, if the price to pay for my country to be reunited, I would accept it, but only under those conditions.
Interesting.
Next question. Next.
By the way, when you ask questions, guys, one question, short question, and shout loudly the question. Stand up.
On the chair?
Yes.
I'm kidding.
On the chair.
It's an inside joke. My questions, first and foremost, to congratulate all four of you for having us here. You're literally having us at the edge of our seat. Okay? I want to switch from content to process. You both said that there was an agreement of confidentiality. However, everything was leaked. There's books being written about what you guys talked about. There is podcasts all over the place, and et cetera, et cetera. So confidentiality practically, in my eyes, is non-existent at this point. And we've also had an elapsed time.
Short question.
And we've also had an elapsed time of 7 years. I think if the ultimate decision makers are the people in this room and thousands of rooms like this, I would implore you to consider public hearings before the agreement is reached so that the ultimate decision makers can follow you and can reach an agreement.
Right, okay.
You
have anything to comment or say?
Talking to the converter. Yes. But, yes, please.
How do we do it?
I mean, I already said a good starting point would be to make public what has already been agreed, the convergence papers. What I believe regarding process is if and when negotiations get resumed from where they were left off, we don't need years of negotiation anymore. For the past an hour and a half, we've been explaining how close we were. So it will be a couple of months. During these months, I agree that we have to inform the public better, hold meetings like this, ask questions, so that people will be more, comfortable in.
Because they don't know. Nobody knows what by communal nobody understands the complication, what it actually is. So people need to know. They need to know what is agreed. And
just a couple of words on the same issue. As Ostil was saying earlier this evening, confidentiality is consubstantial to any negotiation. You cannot negotiate publicly. But, there is a but. Of course, you know, on all fundamental issues, I think there has never been real secret. No real secret. And Ostil, to his credit, suggested that we publish all this. But I have to tell you, because it is important to give also credit where it belongs, Anastasiadis also suggested the same thing, that we publish.
But why is not?
We publish.
Why didn't happen?
We need an agreement to do it. You know, you cannot let down your interlocutor. You need an agreement between the two leaders. Yes, you cannot let down. You need to do it in an agreement.
Why the other leader is not doing it?
The other leader is not interested in a federal solution anymore. His official line is all efforts to find a solution has been exhausted. It has not led to anywhere. Therefore, we can only speak Tuesday. So for him, it's irrelevant, all these, what we're talking about.
Wait, guys. Okay. This grandpa looks cool. Stand up, please.
Which is grandpa? It's not a grandpa. It's a young man.
Now, my understanding regarding the process of negotiation was that once the matter of guarantees and security was a matter of the guarantor powers, not a discussion between Mr. Çavuşoğlu and Mr. Anastasiadis.
No, all of us, including the guarantor powers.
Yes, but primarily it was the guarantor powers that had to put something forward that the remaining people would agree.
Just to tell you something, the reason we failed in Birkenstock with the Annan plan was exactly because the guarantor powers were talking about guarantees without us. And we were trying to remedy this in Crans-Montana.
Okay, but as I insist, it was the primary responsibility of the guarantor powers to sort out the matter of guarantees. And my understanding was that there was going to be a final step at Crans-Montana at which, having come to an agreement, the head of states would come and make the final suggestions and decisions. Now, that didn't happen.
My question, about the troops only.
And my question is why the heads of states were not invited to make their final suggestions. Thank you.
So they were, I will tell you what the Secretary General said at the end. He said that we cannot agree on guarantees and on troops. So since there is no agreement on the guarantees, there is no room or scope to invite the guarantor power, the heads of state or government guarantors to come.
The decision of the General Secretary not to invite the...
Yeah, he said that the conditions are not met.
Because my understanding was that it was the decision of the leaders of the communities.
No.
That's why we're here.
To the contrary,
to bust myths.
To the contrary, there was an effort during dinner by Federica Mogherini, okay, to say because things were not going well, we could, however, invite the prime ministers or the president of Turkey, and
but he doesn't.
Through Mogherini, Mr. Cyprus knew that there was a problem, and he called Anastasiadis. And we interrupted in order for Anastasiadis to take the call by Cyprus. And in the call, Cyprus was saying that there was this suggestion, And Anastasiadis answered to him, you know, it's up to the Secretary General to decide. This is how it happened during that night. But if you ask my opinion now, yes, I believe it would have been a very good idea to bring the prime ministers and the president of Turkey, even if the conditions as spelled out in the 6 points were not met.
And Akıncı was ready for this.
Akıncı was the only one. During the beginning of the dinner, Akıncı was the only one to talk about this.
Okay, raise your hands if you have questions. My friend, you are not having any more questions.
He wants the mic.
You want? Okay, let's give him, because we want love, not upsetting.
Not too much love.
Mr. Phidias, thank you for the special event tonight.
Thank you to the European Union.
The past is past. We are talking for so long time about the past. Whatever happened is very well known to all of us, more or less. Many different opinions. What I want to hear from your guest, the very important person, part of our history anymore. I want to listen about the future.
Not too much, okay? Don't write us off completely.
Okay.
It's a good question. Yes. It's a good question about the future. Let them speak. What do you think about the current state of the negotiations now? What do you think? How do you think we can solve this problem now? How we can play a role as YouTubers?
So you got a glimpse of what we have experienced. We need, of course, days and days to tell you all the details.
It was like this, fighting a lot like this?
No. Usually we are, of course, we had great...
We have disagreements, but just to say that, you know, the most important thing, now I'm saying things Hostil was saying very often. In the negotiation, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the other and understand where he comes from, what is his perspective. So whenever we were facing a deadlock or an impasse in the negotiation, you know what we were doing? Time out. And the two of us were walking outside and talking and
holding hands, or you never hold hands? No?
We could, but Sibel wouldn't be very happy.
Okay, let's talk about the future.
Regarding future, I've been involved with the Cyprus issue, as I said, for the past 25 years. I work with Denktaş, Talat, Akıncı, Erol, with everyone. And the conclusion I came to is content is no longer the problem. It's the process design which is the problem. In Crans-Montana, what we saw in the last night was the sides were unable to open their final hand, not trusting each other. There was a big mistrust, saying that if I open my final hand, for us it was security and guarantees, for the Greek Cypriot side it was governance and power sharing, the other side will take it, pocket it, and run away. So with this knowledge, I came to the conclusion that first, negotiations must resume from where they were left off. Okay, this is one. We cannot throw into the dustbin what we have achieved throughout all these decades. This is one. Second, it is not enough to demand a resumption of talks. And on this, I criticize the current Greek Cypriot leader, because he only talks about asking for a resumption of talks. This is not good enough anymore. We resumed talks for many times, and 50 years, 60 years passed, nothing. So second thing you have to put on the table is a time limit, a calendar, okay? A phased approach to the remaining aspects, okay? So this is the second thing you need. Third, you need to answer the question, what happens when time runs out? So you decide, you continue from where they were left off for a limited time, maybe 3 months, and what happens when 3 months is over, and if there are still some issues left. So in order to solve that, you need to agree to an arbitration process, a deadlock resolving mechanism, okay? And we can do this. We have already done it in the negotiations for the federal government. Why not for the process design, okay? So these three together will make sure that once negotiations resume, they will be finished within a reasonable time, and if there are still remaining issues, deadlock resolving will sort it out. So we will be able to finalize a document to be represented to the people on both sides. And this brings me to my fourth condition. When people are asked, they should not be asked, do you say yes or no to this agreement? Like in the Annan plan. They should be asked, do you say yes to this agreement or do you say yes to the alternative? This alternative must be created, and it should not be continuation of the status quo. It should be something else, okay?
So because you are saying this kind of because you are afraid kind of the Turkish Cypriot community of the Annan plan as well, that we voted no, so to put some punishment, this is what you're saying basically?
My goal is to create the incentives strong enough that both sides will say yes. This is I am not after punishing anyone, okay? I am after motivating, creating enough motivation for people to say yes this time, putting aside their fears, because like you said, people don't know how a federation will work. Will the state be functional? What will be our security? Many concerns, and I can assure you, dear friends, these concerns will never end. There will always be people who will be afraid of change, okay? So the only way out of this dilemma is to tell them, listen, with all the risks and all your fears, this is the federal model, okay? You have a right to say yes to it, but you also have a right to say no to it. But you have to know that if you say no, okay, status quo will not continue. And the Turkish side will not be left like this. It will be something else. Whether it is the recognition of TRNC or ending isolation, I don't know. I say this is the exact thing that leaders should come to talk.
What do you think, Mavroyiannis, about this and also about the current state? And also we need to say hi to our online viewers who have a lot of people watching from home. I see here only on YouTube we have 800 and I'm reading the chat. Hello. So it's very cool, right? We are 80 people in this room and also have 800 just from YouTube. So it's super cool. Hello, people. So Mavroyiannis.
Very briefly. First, certainly, you know, any solution is by definition a jump into the unknown. But you need to create such conditions of trust and confidence between the leaders and the negotiators that people will be ready to take this jump, to assume this little risk, because I believe the risk is low, though we talk a lot about it and we say a lot of things that are completely out of proportion, but it's worth taking that risk. Then I would agree with Hostil on two more elements, the phased approach and the time limit. I believe he is right. You cannot embark in an endless process and you cannot start from scratch. Where I have some divergences is about arbitration and about, you know, having a price to pay in case of a failure. This, I believe that, you know, it's not the best way, because we managed already through free negotiation to reach a point where we can sort out all the remaining issues in a very good way, using what were the suggestions of the Secretary General, which were short of arbitration, short of telling us, but suggestions. So for me, this is the best way. And concerning the price to pay, it's a bit, again, I believe that we will not need it, though I understand fully that when you consider
that you engage in a negotiation for the last time, you know, you don't feel very comfortable just to say, yet another one, and nothing happens. And this is why I understand what Ostil is saying, though I have some disagreement on this.
No, you don't talk, I'm sorry. There is other people that they are shy to shout. Okay, let's put a youngster. Stand up and shout, baby.
So you said that the new negotiations, will only take a few months if they restart. But how can they restart when the president of the TRNC says that the only option is recognition of the TRNC? I mean, you seem to ignore this point, but I mean, with the new elections in the TRNC, is he going to be voted out? What's going to happen?
I'm not ignoring it. The question didn't come up, so you're the first one asking it. As I said, the current leader is totally uninterested in resuming negotiations to find a federal solution. That's why he's coming to the end of his term without having a single serious meeting on the Cyprus issue.
Would you be a candidate for the presidency?
Me? No. I am out of politics. I am a regular citizen. Okay. But the thing is, I believe everything is changing in the world. You see very unexpected events are happening. So the need to solve the Cyprus issue is still there. In the past, we also had periods like this. Remember, well, you won't remember, but maybe you know, in 1998, President Denktash at that time said something very similar to what Tatar is saying, but later on, he changed his position and negotiations resumed. It's whether we are able to create the right incentives on the leaders and the right conditions to convince that another chance is merited, another attempt. What I have shared just a while ago, in my view, holds the key. If somehow we manage to put this forward, Turkish side, including, I believe, Turkey, would see this a new credible attempt, okay? A credible attempt. What they are most afraid of is sitting, making another attempt, and then another failure. Okay? They don't want to find themselves in this trap. So my inner, and this is not a knowledge, this is just a feeling, if we can design, with the help of our international friends, a new negotiation process with a time limit and with a definite guaranteed result, one way or another, we will see parties re-engaging. But without that, I don't see any change at all.
I want to ask one small question. What's the role of Turkey in this stuff? How much effect it has and how it looks, the effect that it has?
Well, of course, for Turkish Cypriots, it's a very huge factor. And no Turkish Cypriot leader will declare a position which is contrary to the position of Turkey or something that Turkey is unable to support. Because mind you, as Andreas has said, the biggest expectation, remaining expectation of the Greek Cypriot side is regarding a flexibility, a change to the Treaty of Guarantee. Under the Treaty of Guarantee, there is the signature of guarantor powers, including Turkey. So if they say, no, we are not going to make any changes, then the whole thing is off. So we have to keep them on board, we have to work and coordinate, and until Crown Montana, we did that perfectly, actually.
It is important, and in order not to be completely pessimistic, to say that for the future, certainly, in order to achieve results, as Ostil was saying, we need to continue where we left. If we start reopening again, forget it. This will never happen. Therefore, both sides need to be ready to accept to continue where we left. And second, you know that the meeting we had in Geneva in 2021 was not on substance, was on process. And the idea and what the UN tried to achieve was not to tell Mr. Tadar, forget about your two states or sovereign equality, was to say that whatever your position is your position. Don't try to impose it on everybody in order to start negotiations. And this is how we can restart again. Let's start negotiations, and then in the course of the negotiations, you can say whatever you like. We will never accept.
No, we came here to find
no
what
point.
we
They don't hear.
Yeah, okay. Let me just finish. You know, and I have to tell you, if this creates a little hope, that I see myself some slight change in the position of Turkey. First, you have the sense that Mr. Tadar is a bit out of tune with Turkey. I doubt whether Turkey will support Mr. Tadar next year. But there is something else which is also very important, and we need to seize this moment. Since almost a year, Turkey does not want to be held as the only responsible of the lack of movement. So I believe that they want some movement. Does not, I don't know exactly on substance, but at least there is scope, as Hostil was saying, to start something.
1 second, it's very interesting. I will allow you to make the question. But I think my friend is right what he's saying. We didn't talk a lot about the substance of what has been agreed. So, but I also understand that this is a bit complicated setup to allow everyone to talk for 10 minutes. No, 1 second. So I will do, if they both agree, another podcast in English in the future, just to sit down, me and them alone, just to sit down and describe exactly what was being agreed, if they agree, which I'm sure they will agree. So, but it's good point. But I will allow him, because we gave him the mic, and we can give it to the next.
First of all, I would like to congratulate both of you as a human being that trying to bring a peace, or maybe trying to do something on your island. This is the first thing I was going to say. Secondly, I want to ask one question for you, and second one for you, but it's going to be easy one. Does the Greek Cypriot authorities tells their people the reality? Do you tell your people publicly what's going on and what would happen? This is the first question. And your question is, are you going to continue your duty, what you're doing now? And one more, if you don't mind. I was in Crans-Montana, I was in Geneva, because I was a member of the parliament, and with my party I was there. I wanted to ask, this is a funny one. At the end of the last night, the Last Supper, when we heard that you were going to leave and nothing was going to happen, me and my colleague, he was here, I don't know if he left, we were crying. We were in tears because we were so close to the solution.
Both of us.
Yes. Were you and your team also crying? Because we were so close.
Still we were trying together.
So you heard his questions, right?
He asked him and you, not me.
His question is about the media, right?
No, it's about the
media.
About the government, whether the government has told people. I think that the answer is yes, if you are interested. There is nothing, as I was telling you, there was no real secret on this side. There is no real secret.
We do know, but our Greek friends doesn't know it.
What do they don't know? This is yet another myth and another excuse in order not to be
I think they are right on something that, okay, the media now, not everyone watches the media, not everyone watches the TV. So even if they are doing a good job, nobody will know because the conversations shifted online. Most of the conversation, and we see it kind of also with my elections, that it was mostly online that it happened. So, but I agree with some of your points, but for my personal opinion about the media, they are good. They are asking good questions. I'm not here to say bullshit. They are mostly good, but yes. But also we need more of this. Both of the communities to participate, and we don't have a lot of people from the other community participating in the media because of the language. So I believe a language is a big problem to the bridge of understanding. So yes, and to the question that yes, we answer one question because we have another. So let's do. Yes, we will continue to do fun things together. And we have another 2 questions, and then we do a closing statement. This guy has been begging me for hours, shouting and all this stuff. Okay, we will give another 2 for women. Okay, okay, you are amazing.
So I believe one of them. I believe because you asked what you can do, and I believe what I will say is what you can do. In Cyprus. What my friend there said, the Cyprus problem is not discussed. Nobody knows about the Cyprus problem. Tonight, we heard nothing about what was discussed, what was agreed. And I will give an example. I have in front of me something that was agreed about the governance in the Annan plan. And I will say it. I will say why I don't like it very quickly, and I will ask you what you agreed differently. So, about the governance, the Annan plan, there were 2 kinds of parliaments, and the governance was not an election. It was like Europe. Like you vote for von der Leyen, not the people. So at the end, it was not democracy. There is no accountability, political accountability, like in Europe. In Europe, things cannot change. It's not like US. It's not like US. If you take the Annan plan, you will see that is exactly that. So the governance is not elected. There is an established non-democracy like Europe, and we can see it. Now, I want to know.
You are just completely wrong, you know.
Okay, I have it in front of me and we can see
it. Read it. Okay. I'm against the Annan plan, but you are completely wrong.
I'm reading about the governance. Yes. The chief of state is on the presidential council, which will have the governance authority and will be elected by the Gerousia. This is the Senate. Yes. This is the Annan plan, exactly like Europe. So, democracy.
Why do you discuss the Annan plan?
Because I want to know what is agreed now. So, democracy has been abolished, and I want to know why the people are not involved. We want to have democracy. So, we want to elect, and the people that will be elected.
Does it say that the president will not be elected? Sorry. I think
it will be elected. Okay, if you consider that in Europe there is democracy, because von der Leyen is getting elected by the members of the parliament, not the people.
It's very interesting. So these are the 2 people that Mavroyiannis was negotiating that time, right?
Yes.
So they know this stuff. Let them explain us what it was. So it's very interesting.
Say something.
Dear friends.
By the way, guys, are we having fun?
First of all, let me say that the executive we agreed during the negotiations was different from the Annan plan. But there are 2 basic systems in the world: presidential systems and parliamentarian systems. In the Republic of Cyprus, as far as I know, you have the presidential system, and the president, he himself appoints the executive bodies. This doesn't make you an undemocratic country. Then you have your parliament, you have your other bodies that act as checks and balances. In the United States, they elect a president, and he appoints all the executive bodies. This doesn't mean the United States is undemocratic. So no, what we agreed was fully in line with democratic principles of the European Union. I repeated several times that their experts were also with us. confirming that whatever we were designing was in line with the principles on which the European Union is founded, and actually with the existing acquis.
Okay, so no election. Because in the European Union there are no elections.
I heard Parliament, two houses. Okay, the Senate, which is 50-50, and then the House, which is 3-1. Okay, all elected. Then you have
elected from whom?
The people, the people, and then you have the president and the vice president elected again from the people.
Exactly like Europe.
No, but this is what democracy. Okay, wait.
Who has to elect for you in order to be democratic? It is not the people.
By the way, 1 second. 1 second. So it's interesting question to jump from him to what is the biggest difference from an unplanned to the Gras Montana. What is the biggest difference?
There are many. Don't open it.
We don't have to. Okay, they reject my questions. They are amazing.
Okay, I mean, thank you so much for the event. As a woman, I can say that we as women are sick and tired of the testosterone that creates this tension amongst men. I have a very quick comment, just to underline that in 2020 we had a presidential election in the Turkish Cypriot community, but our leader was not elected. He was appointed by Turkey, and we have produced a report on this issue. The Turkish embassy in the northern part of Cyprus was used as a headquarter by Turkey to interfere in the elections, and we published a report on everything that they did. So just to let you know, he is not our elected leader. The second point, that the questions that I would like specifically, just one thing from Mr. Nami and Mr. Mavroyiannis. What is our homework? What is our responsibility as the Turkish Cypriot side? What do we need to convince our community on in regards to progressing in the solution, in the process? What is it? What is the problem that we have that we need to convince our community for? Give us the homework, specifically one specific thing that we need to do. And Mr. Mavroyiannis, what do the Greek Cypriot community need to, what do the peace activists need to convince the Greek Cypriot community to do, or to understand, or to agree on, so we can move forward and help as a bottom up to contribute to unlocking this deadlock?
Very good question.
Before answering the question, I have to mention a reservation I have about your comment, because I don't think Mr. Tatar was appointed. He was elected, but was there a lot of influence, a lot of messaging, a lot of lobbying, indicating that unless you vote in this direction, you will be in trouble? Yes, all of that took place, but an election took place. People went to vote. I would not diminish the importance of people going and voting. They are voters. They made their decision based on the information that they had. No, I know. I don't need to read your. I have lived everything. I lived through everything. But anyway, regarding the homework thing, what I believe is there is a lot of apathy, and I think that this goes for both sides. People are resigned to the fact that we are unable to solve the Cyprus problem, and there is a huge focus on economic gains now. Our homework is to push people out of this zone, warning them about the dangers of remaining in this state of apathy for a very long time. This is one. Second, as Turkish Cypriots, we should ask our leader, why are you not taking an initiative? Clearly, your policy is not working. TRNC is not recognized. On the other hand, your policy is not creating any pressure on the Greek Cypriot leader as well. So we have to hold him more accountable. I don't see, I lived through the 90s, early 2000s. I was the leader of an NGO, the Businessmen Association. We were on the streets. Thousands were demonstrating. None of that is happening. Okay? So people should remember once again that of all the big problems that we have in the north, including inflation and all the rest of it, it boils down to the Cyprus issue. And we have to re-energize ourselves in that direction. Telling Mr. Tatar, why don't you demand a time limit? Why don't you demand arbitration? Why don't you demand consequences from your counterpart? Okay, our counterparts may not like all of this, but this doesn't mean that we should not demand it. And if we demand it, then there are many people in the international community who will start listening. But as long as he says, I will not negotiate until TRNC is recognized, nobody listens. And we remain stuck with the status quo. So I believe the time has come for Turkish Cypriots to be more mobilized, to push their leader to start doing the right thing. If we do that, and I also let me take this opportunity to thank both of you guys, use everything in the toolbox to start motivating people to think again about what we can do to solve the Cyprus issue.
Okay. You know,
yes.
I thank the lady for her question. You know, this raises fundamental issues of people in society and people in a political system. You know, there is this old anecdote, maybe some people as old as me might recall, you know, that in the more totalitarian is a regime, the more elections it has and the more they are perfect. Usually 100% in favor, 102% in favor of dictators. We all know how the systems work. And there was this old story in one of those regimes, a man goes to vote and he goes to the center to vote. They give him a closed envelope in order to put in a box, and he says, you know, this is a closed envelope. And the agent there tells him, my dear friend, this is a vote by secret ballot. So in order, we need to be aware that elections is not just procedural. In order to provide legitimacy for political power, they have to be fair. They have to abide by the rule of law, and they need certainly accountability. So it is a very, very important thing, and we always need to do better. There was certainly, we all felt there was interference by Turkey, but you cannot go as far, at least for us as Greek Cypriots, to question the legitimacy of the Turkish Cypriot leader, because the Turkish Cypriot leader for us is the representative of his community, and he is the one who participates in the negotiation, because the negotiation for Cyprus is part of the good offices mission of the Secretary General of the UN, and this mission is with the leaders of the two communities. Now, on the other question, you know, the fundamental understanding has always been that, and this is the one that we need to bear in mind, that the security of the one cannot be at the expense of the security of the other. Only if we can find an arrangement which will meet this dimension, you can have a settlement in Cyprus.
And guys, I said two women. Okay.
But wait until you get the mic. Let me tell you that these two guys here in the negotiation agreed, never happened in any country of the world yet, that in our executive there would be at least 40% of the gender that is less represented. in order to know the content of the negotiation.
But another interesting fact about the women and the men, there is more men in this in this room. So it's interesting fact, just say.
My question is not a gender question. Mr. Nami gave me the perfect pass, and I'm picking up from what Mine said. What can civil society do? What is our duty? How can we be motivated when there is a lack of transparency? We're going back, the question that the gentleman said earlier, what do we know? And Phidias, I hate to disagree with you, but there is no information. Everything that is in the public space regarding what is agreed to is radio arvila. It's leaks, it doesn't come from source. It comes on social media, so how is it checked? So to me, if there is no transparency, civil society needs to be motivated. We've got a group of men, that are making decisions, not really willing to talk or engage with civil society, yet we are expected at the end of the day to say, well, yes, we want a federal system, or no, we want the status quo. So to me, the biggest, if there really is political intent, how can you involve civil society more? Because we are the ones that are going to live the solution. We and our children. So to me, what can you do? What can be done to have more of civil society involved? I don't want you to decide for me. I want us to decide together.
And we know who controls the media.
Okay, this is the last question, and we're going to do a final closing statement. And also, guys, we have the European Union is giving us money to have food as well outside, and wine and all this stuff. So I want you to start loving the European Union slowly. Okay, final answers, and then the final closing statement.
I mean, if I understood the question correctly, the argument is we are not motivated to do more because there is lack of information. And then support my proposal. Let's ask the leaders, all of us, to publicize what have been achieved up until Crans-Montana, the convergence papers. And then you can organize workshops to discuss what was good, what will not work. There are many things that can happen. But I've been calling for the publication of convergences for a very long time, but nothing, no one, I didn't see anyone sort of coming out and saying, yeah, this is a good idea, why don't the leaders do it? So become more active. Put a pressure group and demand this. By the way, but even without that, we should be mobilized. I mean, enough time has come. The trauma of Crans-Montana should be behind us, and we should be more demanding. And that's it. What else can
I want to say, this is the only statement that I will make. Recently I understood one thing, guys, that it's good to blame and it's good to have the good politicians to represent us, but a lot of the times it's easy. Well, the politicians are not good. We blame the politicians, but we can, as society, we can change and want the right things and make it politically profitable for the politicians to do the right thing. So even the wrong politicians do the right thing because they will not get elected, they will not do. So if we have the right expectations as society, we're going to start solving this problem. So I agree with you, and transparency and all this stuff, inform as society and starting to get more educated decisions as society to want the right things. I think this is one of the ways to solve the problem.
Yes. You know, certainly the last thing you said, Phidias, about transparency is fundamental. As fundamental is also the accountability of political power and of every person who assumes responsibility on behalf of others. You need to always be accountable about what you did, what you didn't do. But the problem we are facing here in Cyprus about civil society, it is the fact that we never managed to have a massive movement of civil society, and eventually what we have is what we call the usual suspects, going around, participating in events, having fantastic ideas, but this impossibility to have the track 2, the track 3, going as far as to influencing, in a decisive way, track one. There is, of course, the other face of the coin, which is, I think Hostil had similar experiences. Some years ago, when UNDP was organizing a forum of civil society and trying to see what civil society was ready and willing to do, I had the feeling a little bit, I attended those meetings, that they expected me and us, the people that were dealing with the issues, to give them guidance. As long as we expect the guidance, we will never do anything as civil society. Civil society needs to take its fate in their own hands and be more demanding towards the political power, because if you don't have this, and it's not only about the Cyprus problem, it's broader. You need to understand that if you want to have a say on your own future, on how you determine the day after, you need always to assume this responsibility. Very often we don't. There is a long way, but all of us, we need to work on this.
Okay, wait, before you clap. Okay, the final closing statement. So, before I met him, I didn't have Ibrahim, I didn't have ever made a friend from the Turkish Cypriot community. And when I met him and we started talking about Instagram, YouTube, our goals, because we're both influencers, how this is functioning, ideas and all this stuff, it was very beautiful for me because I understood we have nothing to divide. We have a lot of things in common actually. And so our friendship kind of motivated me to start this conversation, attempt and try to understand the problem. So I'm very excited. Today was a bit harsh because a lot of tension, a lot of passion. So, but this is beautiful. We need to start this conversation again and ask to have more information about this, transparency and all this stuff. And I want to say thank you to you because you guys watching online now, thousands of people, and you guys came here. We are the people. And we can change things. It's not the government and all this stuff. We are the people. If we want stuff united, we can change stuff. So I love you all and thank you for coming. There is food and drinks outside on the European Parliament.